So the meeting of the Recreation Committee is starting at 4 p.m. And in attendance are BZ Riley, Barbara Bigelow, Christine Marglin, Christine Robinson, Elaine Paleo, and Ann Brigham. Okay. So our first order of business is the approval of the minutes. Is there any discussion concerning the minutes from the last meeting? Can someone move to accept them?
I move to accept them.
Okay, and all those in favor, just raise your hand, or in your case, so Christine R., can you indicate whether you're approving the minutes?
Hi, I'm here. I don't know what's going on. I've got to figure this out.
Oh, okay, but can I put you down as having approved the minutes?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, there it goes. All right.
Oh, good.
Here's
Okay,
that.
so that's unanimous. We like unanimity.
Right.
So we have a lot of things on the agenda. I don't know how long it will take us. We'll find out. So first, just a review of Family Field Day, and 3 of you were there, and I was hoping you could just kind of fill us in a little bit. I had the opportunity to talk to Elaine, and I heard that it was a lot of fun, that the kids were having a great time. So any other kind of comments, whatever, about this rainy, cold day, or not rainy, cold day where the kids are out there just having a blast?
I apologize to both of you for not having tested before I went, but I'm glad that I had a mask on and I didn't have any interaction and we were outside.
You stayed really far away from everybody, Elaine. You must have known in your inner self.
Yeah, but I was worried because of John, but I kind of did know.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling now?
I'm fine. I have a little bit of a head cold now, but I'm good.
Like
So
I said, Elaine gets more done with COVID than most people get done out in a week.
So BZ, were you there as well?
I came at the beginning, but
Oh, nice.
yeah, I was there for about the first 45 minutes and it was freezing cold and nobody was there. And and I guess people dribbled in right later, but it wasn't a mass,
Yeah.
and we weren't even sure we were going to get everything out. It was sort of like, should we do this or not do it, or
So how many people ended up showing up?
A lot. I thought incredible.
I counted 15 kids.
More came after you left. More came. Yeah, it was really incredibly well attended given the weather. I don't think it was as many as last year, wouldn't you say, Christine? But a lot.
Yeah, 16 adults.
Oh,
Wow,
good.
Great.
And when you counted, Christine, some had left. There was like a mom with twin boys who were the first ones to arrive. They had already left. And you counted there were definitely over 20 kids for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say 30, maybe 25. I don't know. It was a really good turnout for that hideous weather.
They had a ball. I think they would have just played with those big cups all morning if they had let them. But Stephen is amazing. He is just amazing with the way
he's wonderful on the ice.
So we were sitting there watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what did we decide to get for him for his program?
Oh, we got him those
cups.
Those big cups. They're just like
yeah, they had them. Kids brought them out at the beginning.
Yeah. And they were stacking them and making them fall down and getting them up so high that it kind of like inverted Jenga.
Yeah, last year we asked him what he would like. We wanted to get him something committee, and that's what he wanted, the giant stacking cups. And he got them.
They'd be
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it certainly sounds like, and this is going to be a theme through several things that we'll be talking about, but it's not specifically on the agenda. And that is, are there things that we do that we're just going to plan on? We'll be doing them every year.
I want you to hear the one story that I told Barbara,
sure.
And I don't know if you two, Christine and Christine, heard this. One of the dads said that their little boy got up in the morning and he said, well, what are we doing today? He says, Dad, Dad, today is field day. We gotta go. And he's like, no. We have to wait a couple of hours. But he was
Oh.
up and ready. He was just so excited to go to field day.
And a
Stephen
lot
had
of the families thanked us as they were leaving.
Yes.
Really, they said how great it was and really like were very pleased.
Great. Then I would,
Did anyone emerge as a potential committee member?
Oh, there was one mother who came up to us and asked us if we worked for the town. We said, "Oh yeah, we're getting paid for this." And we
Big
told
cushy
her
gig.
we told her that we were the rec committee and what the rec committee does, and that we were volunteers. And I forget, I didn't get her name, but do you two remember her talking to us and asking us, all about?
I remember the dad with the baby strapped on the front. That's who I remember. Because
Oh.
remember, I was out waiting for cars and you and
Oh,
Christine
right.
were,
I remember the conversation, Elaine, but I didn't get the names. Yeah.
Well, I think that we should put something in the Road Town News. Oh, speaking of the Road Town News, it did not go in. The announcement did not go in last Friday.
weird, because I got a message from Laura saying that it did.
Well, one of the parents
got
said that she
burned up.
looked for it.
Oh,
And
that might explain why there might have been more. Yeah.
But I think we should put an kind of like an ad in the Road Town News soliciting people who might be interested.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Barbara, didn't you write that? Was that for the Road Town?
I wrote a bunch of different things, but it was all specifically about Family Field Day. I haven't written like an advertisement or anything about potential members.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's weird. I thought you had. I've just got you doing work that you haven't done. You can just check that off your list.
But I might also do things when I'm in a fugue state and I don't even know. So, I don't think so, but who knows? Yeah, but I think that's a very good idea. In fact, excuse me, I'm gonna get I have a pen right here, because if I don't write things down, then, so I'll put ad in Road Town News. Yeah, that's too bad it didn't go in, because I sent it in Thursday morning and I actually asked Laura, I said, if it's at all possible to get this in, can you? And she said, oh no, you're fine to get it in time, but there must be another step in it that doesn't involve her, because she was pretty sure it would go in.
I hope
Okay.
it doesn't go in this week.
Oh, I hope it doesn't either. I'll send her, I think she knew when it was. Let me just send her what I'll do is send her a thank you as opposed to, so are you gonna put it in the wrong day? There, okay, so I'll send her a thank you and tell her how much fun it was, and then she'll know. Don't need to put anything else in. Okay, so budget revisited. There are two things I'd wanted to propose in terms of the budget. The first is paying Stephen. We pay Zoe $250 for 2 hours. I would like to propose that we pay Stephen. This is not part of his job as the PE teacher. He's just showing up. So I'm just going to kind of put that proposal out there that we pay Stephen $250 for the work that he does on Family Field Day, and then it's open for discussion. I've seen lots of nodding heads.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Alrighty.
agree.
So can I make a movement as a chair? I move that we pay Stephen $250 for the work that he does for Family Field Day. Second for that, Christine, and all those in favor, raise their hands. Okay, so I'll get in touch with him about making an invoice. And then get
So
that done.
looking away, was that unanimous? Did everybody agree?
Yes, it was unanimous.
Okay.
Yeah. The second one is I just wanted to revisit contributing to and thus co-sponsoring the fitness classes offered at the library. And as was mentioned at the last meeting, these benefit an older demographic than many of our programs and a demographic that we would like to reach. Some concerns are brought up in terms of making a financial commitment this early in the fiscal year. I actually worry less about whether we have enough money and more about can we spend all the money that we have, because we don't always. So I wanted to propose that we make a contribution now, and I'll have a discussion of, I'll just throw a number out there, $1,000, and then revisit it in the beginning of spring to see what our budget looks like. So that puts us at $2,000 for other programming. So, and is there any discussion, thoughts about that?
That seems-
Barbara, do you remember what we contributed last year?
I think it was 1,500.
Okay, great.
So
Thank
then
you.
we could give them another 1,000 in the spring if we have it.
Yeah, see what our budget looks like.
Yeah, that's good. I also think we should ask for an increase in our budget the next time, next fiscal year, because I think we're doing a lot of programming that costs more money and,
Mhm.
I mean, even if it was just $500 more or,
Yeah.
anyway.
Well,
That's
much to
something
my,
that- That's something that you should put in the request to the finance committee in late October, early November. And get on their meeting schedule. Because they do talk to each committee that wants to have an increase in their budget, and you have to have a justification for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
great.
Barbara,
Otherwise, they'll just give you what you've had.
Well, what I learned was, well, we'd had $1,000, which I guess is just the automatic amount that they get. Then I asked for $3,000 when we were thinking about doing the orienteering. And then that didn't happen, but we spent the $3,000, we spent the money on other things. And then they automatically gave us $3,000. So I didn't realize that once you ask for more, you keep getting more. So that's a good deal.
Good.
so our total budget is $3,000, of which the 250 would come. So leaving us like 750 if we do this. And in terms of the other things on our like agenda, like the pickleball and the juried art, like can we?
Pickleball will cost nothing.
Oh, okay.
It's a separate thing. Our seasonal walks don't cost anything. So we really need to be thinking about what are we doing that we're spending, what is the programming that we actually need to spend money on?
Mhm.
And the family field day is well, now it'll be $250 more, but it's less than $100 for the snacks and everything. Oh, and Christine, you ought to keep the snacks.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'll give them to the school.
Yeah, that's great.
They
Yeah.
allow, they're gonna kill me, when they see the teachers, when they see. But yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Well, I think all these things, the exercise programs and the kids, the field day, those are all recreational. They're really like what our committee is supposed to do. I mean, some of the other things we've done are not really traditional recreational things. But the library, supporting the library to do those things, I think, giving them as much as we can give them for their programming, I think that's appropriate. I don't really think, I mean, Mary Ann runs such great programming that
Absolutely.
you don't have to really, reinvent the wheel.
Right.
But
Right.
I also agree that giving Christine the snacks, we should put a little write-up in our minutes or wherever in what we do that we supported this orchard adventure. What do you want to call it, Christine? I mean, it's great that they come to your place and, pick the apples and then have their orchard apple day.
And then they bake stuff and they sell it, and then
Right.
Oh,
right.
wow.
And they make cider tomorrow, which they drink on the spot, so
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
not hard cider.
But then they have apple. It's really bad for
Our
your
cider.
They have the apple
Clarifying.
pancake, I mean, apple pizzas. That's what I remember our kids
Oh
always
my God. I
wanted
mean,
to
it was so
buy.
bad for our waistlines because they would have the best, for like a week, there would be the great apple snacks and it would be like, oh,
Yeah, so I think, I mean, that's recreation. That's
yes,
definitely-
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
and it's community.
And it's
Yes, which is,
community.
yeah, which is part of our mission as well.
Yeah.
So we really were defining in that mission statement that this is about kind of enhancing the community and
And I think they also bring trash bags with them. So as they're going along the road, they're picking
Yeah.
up trash.
Yeah,
wow.
yes.
That's really nice that you do that, Christine.
It's my husband. I mean, I
Oh, you're
can't,
not
Been
that nice.
doing it for
Right.
I can't
years.
take credit. Yeah, it's been going on for a long time.
Oh, that is
Our
so,
kids did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And our kids are old.
Yeah.
They probably don't agree with you.
We do not have young people.
oh, and Christine, I only insult people I like. Oh, I
You
insulted you.
did. Oh,
Yes, yeah. When
She's
you were
like,
saying
what?
that your husband did it, and I said, yeah, that's right, you're not that nice.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Things like that get so much better on the
Strike that from the notes. Wow.
Okay, so I guess we need to take a vote then about the $1,000. So the Recreation Committee will provide $1,000 to the library for the fitness programs. Second to that, okay, yeah, and all those in favor? Okay, so it's unanimous again. Great. All right, the seasonal walks. The fall walk was canceled because I was supposed to co-lead the walk. And I had originally planned on taking people up Mount Orient to the Rocky Outlook, sit there, have lunch, turn around, come back. But my knee kind of prohibited being able to do that. So meanwhile, I talked with the other two members of the Open Space Committee, both of whom are very excited about co-sponsoring the walks. And so we have 3 walks now for our seasonal walks. We have our winter, spring and summer walks because we won't do a fall walk this year. So what I propose is inviting them to come to our meeting in November and that ask everybody to just think about walks in Shutesbury. In fact, one of the things when I'm a member of the Open Space Committee, so there's a little overlap there. But when I was at the meeting, one of them said, it would be really nice if the walks were just in Shutesbury, meaning that the Mount Orient one starts in Shutesbury, but most of it's in Pelham. So it's just something to think about is we really want to highlight the walks and opportunities that we have here in Shutesbury. So there really isn't anything to do about that other than, I'm proposing that we invite Gail and Penny to come to our November meeting and that in preparation for it, everybody think about possible places for walks that we could take.
I
And
think
I-
one of the most beautiful walks is the one that Beezy takes us on in the woods right at her house and around the Fletchers and back through the woods. That's beautiful to the waterfall.
The waterfall, yeah.
Yeah.
The waterfall got discovered during COVID because people were accessing it from 202. We never even knew it was there. It was like, a hidden thing. And then when we found, then somehow it got out on, so I think people probably know about that waterfall, but it's nice to have a destination in a walk, I think.
Yeah, that's a great idea, BZ. Yeah.
Whatever we do, the one around Ames Pond, that's a nice, that has destinations to go to the sculptures or the,
Mhm.
Right.
but something that it's not just a walk without a
Mhm.
little bit of a,
Yeah,
so
that's a
if you
great
think of
point.
something, think of them with like some kind of highlight of the walk or,
Now, I don't remember who proposed this to me. I don't even remember if it was somebody, I don't even think it was somebody in Shutesbury. But I was in a conversation with someone about the Recreation Committee and walks. And she said, what would be really nice? Oh, I remember who it was. And no, she doesn't live here. She said, is that just having like a walk around, the commons or something for older people who have limited mobility, who would just like to take a short walk.
Hmm.
So I don't know, that kind of falls outside a bit of the seasonal walks, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe one of our seasonal walks is specifically aimed at that group of people. But that's something I'd like to throw out to also talk about in the context of walks.
Or you could have a walk start with like a, a half a mile at the beginning, and then they could go back, and then people could continue. Think of it as a two parts to it, and so that they could feel like they weren't being isolated for being lacking mobility, but they would be part of
Yeah.
it. They just wouldn't do the whole thing.
That's a great idea, BZ, because you also might have people who have toddlers, so they might want to come, but they wouldn't be able to do the whole thing. But it's like those walks you can go on where it's like you can do the small loop, or you
Right.
can do the bigger loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And I bet there would be a way of arranging it in terms of start times, that everybody sort of ends up at about the same time and shares snacks or hot drink, depending on the time of year. That would be a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
It
easy.
would be nice if we could do, maybe we could do the what we call the Leonard Road Loop, which is taking Leonard and West Pelham, Pelham Hill, and Leverett Road. And that's almost, it's like 3.8 mile loop around there, but using that, but for people who have mobility issues, they could be walking around the track at the school, and then kids could go run and play on the swings and everything. So it could be a real family thing, and it would solve the parking issue and everything like that. And we could have refreshments at the end.
That's a great idea. That's going to
That's
be
it.
a little bit faster. That's the turkey trot.
I was going to say, I thought
Yeah.
that was the turkey trot route.
So maybe we could incorporate it with the turkey trot,
The
that-
walk part.
the walk part around the track.
Well, we're having a kids fun run around the track. So
Okay.
that's part of it. Yeah. So
Okay.
we have that.
Are we involved in the turkey trot in any way?
No,
No,
it's Barbara.
no, actually, it's fun. Sam Spiciak is on the committee, and she's a very good artist. And I don't know if you've seen the signs with
Yeah.
the moose, and that's her art.
The promotional materials are outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah, she did the artwork, and then we all kind of contributed with what we wanted to do, is make sure that we had a consistent color scheme throughout, so that we had very clear branding, and we were very successful at that.
Mhm.
Now we
So
just have
how's
to
the
get more
word-
people to sign up.
How's the word getting out to the runner world, the people who would actually come and do this?
It's gonna get out through announcements on their sites. So that's actually one of my jobs this week, is to get that out to, there's two running clubs sort of in the Pioneer Valley, but then there's the New England 65+, which will only run races that have 5-year categories from 60 on up. We did that. And then there's a club in Worcester, because that would be an easy driving distance, and another one in, I think it was Lowell. But anyway, ones where it's a reasonable drive for someone looking for a 5K.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the Thursday night beer club, but I think all they do is run on Thursday and drink beer, so. Quite okay, so I will put out an email to all, including Gail and Penny, just saying when the meeting is, and then suggesting that everybody come in with some ideas for walks, and that to be creative about it, that it's not just about the place, but it's also about how we organize and manage it. Yeah, Ann?
Barbara, before we leave the seasonal walks, this isn't seasonal walk, but I had a neighbor who said that they used the directions on the rec committee website to do the Ames Pond walk.
Yeah.
They didn't work at some.
Oh, I'll take them away. Okay.
You're going to take them away?
Well, if they don't work, we
Well,
don't.
I mean, no, I just was wondering, because it was some of you know, it was Peg and Mike Ross. And so Peg was like, it was fine. But then it told us to take a left, and we got confused. So I just didn't know if I should ask her to email me what the exact issue was, and we could look at it. I didn't even know if we made the directions. I told her they might have come from, did they come from, why am
They
I
predate me. I don't know where they came from.
Has anyone else used them?
Where are they?
at the
Yeah,
bottom, very bottom of the page.
Of our,
of our
I'll
page.
look at those. I know how to do that walk, so I could look at it and see.
Oh,
Will you
great.
check it out,
Thank
BZ?
you.
Will you
I'll
just,
check them out.
great, and then,
Great, that would
yeah,
be
take the,
wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I don't know, it is a little confusing, because it depends on the pond, whether you can get across the pond, which I heard that they have rebuilt the boardwalk there, but I don't know if it's finished, or I should go down and check it out, see if the boardwalk's finished. Because if you don't use the boardwalk, then you could get really confused by the directions.
Mhm.
is what-
so
Yeah, I
is
know
that
they've-
is that the Fisk Pond Trail?
Oh,
Mhm.
sorry, it's
Oh.
the Fisk Pond Trail.
Fisk
Right,
Pond
yeah.
Trail
So
is
she
gone.
said,
It's gone.
Yeah,
It's-
that's different.
That
Oh.
says that the file you requested has been deleted.
oh, it said we used the trail directions from the rec committee, but couldn't figure out the third left turn. That was on September 7th that she texted
Oh.
me.
I
It's
just
so weird,
clicked,
Elaine.
I just clicked on it.
Okay,
Okay.
It does it's dead. The site is down.
Maybe that's why they had trouble following it.
Yeah, probably.
so, but who has the power to take that away? It's so funny.
Oh, you know what? They're all gone. All of our trails.
Oh,
No, none of our trails links. Oh, the last one does. The New England Trail link is there.
there might be, I wonder whether Kestrel has instructions for the trail, now that
Yeah,
it's,
they
yeah,
have.
they might. We could put
Yeah,
that,
so it looks like the owner might have, I'm on there too now, Elaine, like the owner might have taken them off.
Yeah,
But I wonder if we should just take those links.
I think we should kill those
down.
links.
okay, I'll do that after the meeting, I'll kill the
Huh.
links.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay,
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
so we good with seasonal walks? Great. Oh, I have one more thing about seasonal walks. So when I met with Gail and Penny, Penny was telling me about somebody who does the Julian's Bower walk fairly frequently, and she was suggesting this person to lead the walk. We never talked about this. It was an assumption that I was making that we would be the ones leading the walks, that this would, but I realized we never talked about it. I just kind of assumed it, and then I thought, I don't know why I'm assuming it. So if there's somebody who does a walk a whole lot and wants to lead it, is that fine?
Sure.
Okay, all right,
As
good.
long as it's a Shutesbury resident.
Yeah, as long as it's Shutesbury resident, yeah, absolutely. Okay, the proposed art show, and I was gonna just sort of raise it as we talked about it. Is this something we want to move forward with for the spring?
Can I ask, I don't remember discussion about this. I guess I wasn't at that meeting. Can somebody just give me a recap of what you're thinking about this?
Yeah, so BZ, I think we talked about it at 2 meetings. I can't remember if we haven't seen you for a while.
No, I was at one meeting at the beginning, but then I think you talked about it more.
Okay, so Joan Green, who's an artist in town,
Yeah, I know her.
mentioned it to me, yeah. And so we were talking about doing a 1-day juried art show. Joan is very interested in doing a lot of the organizing. So she was just looking for a committee in town to support it, basically for publicity, not looking for any money, I said like, oh, we could be there, we could be there in the morning to help artists unload. She's like, artists know how to unload their own stuff. I was like, just trying to be helpful, Joan. So that's about as far as we got, busy, that it would be an interesting idea to do it 1 day, possibly in the spring. The idea came up about the Shutesbury Athletic Club, one thing under the pavilion. I had seen Joan since then, and she and Marianne had a conversation about it, and Marianne suggested the possibility of doing it on the town common because you would get drive-by traffic. And I was like, then artists would have to bring tents, and yeah, BC, I didn't make that face, but I made it internally. And we just liked the idea of the Shutesbury Athletic Club too, because if we could bring, if it was like from 10 to 4, and then maybe people would get a beverage. Marianne did apparently ask Joan if it would be okay if the library had a bake sale always okay, I think, for food. But I think the big thing, BZ, so thinking about the date and also doing some sort of application form just to make sure that people aren't like downloading, this is one of Joan's examples, like trinkets that they got from China, and they're just selling them, but they haven't made them, but really making sure it's people who are making what they're selling, as opposed to finding something.
One question I have is, how would they be selling their art?
Yeah.
Because isn't this more like, where are we going between art and the craft fair that's at the SAC in the winter?
Yeah, that's a great question, Elaine. I think, and again, I'm representing Joan, so we could always have Joan come to the meeting if that would be helpful for folks. She's thinking of this more for people who are doing, there's a fine line between art and craft, but people who are really thinking about, juried art shows. So more on the art side, Elaine. So maybe folks who aren't represented at that holiday show.
I have a
Somewhat like
question.
Beezy's work.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
The athletic club, I think you have to have it indoors. You can't have it outside. There's no wall space in the pavilion. There's one wall. And you have to, it would be really tricky to do something outside. So that's there's really only that back wall. There's no, unless it's all sculpture.
Well, I think we were thinking of like other juried art shows where folks have their own little, setup.
Well, that's like a craft fair kind of, where people bring their.
No, I'm not thinking of a craft fair. I'm thinking of like juried.
Well, they have the
where
craft
people
fair. They
set up,
have
like their tents.
Their tents, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shit ton of work to do that for a day.
Yeah, I agree with you about that, BZ. And I also think that if there are people in town who are making art but don't aren't professional artists, might not have access to a tent, just might be a deterrent. Okay, so that's a great suggestion. What was the other thing you were going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, and then inside at the athletic club, when they have the holiday fair there, they make a lot of space for a lot of work. Like you can do that, but it takes them like a day to set up, a day to take down. It's not just, if you're going to have a 1-day thing, to me, it's just a lot of work. You got to have a big crew of people to do it. Like they have a whole crew of people that do that.
Well, this raises an interesting question. And I think maybe, Barbara, you had mentioned next steps. And I wonder if the next step would be to ask Joan to come, because I think when she was talking to me about this, remember the tour of artist studios that happened in Shutesbury?
Yeah.
I think what she was saying is, what if we replicated that, but did it in one place? So it's not that there's a committee behind it that does all this setup. I think more the onus is on the individual artists to come and set up their stuff.
I've been involved in a lot of these things.
Yeah, so is she. So I think maybe that would be, does that sound like it would be a good next step for everybody?
Yes, I think we have to
Joan to come and we could.
Yeah, we got to flesh this out more because it's not.
Because I think you and Joan might have competing visions, and I don't want to speak for her.
I don't have a vision for this.
But you have different, different things that you're thinking of. So I just, don't want to.
I just don't think she's been in that athletic club as much as I have been. To know that space, it's tricky to work in that space.
Yeah, see, I don't think she wanted to do it inside. I think she really wanted to do it in the pavilion, and people would just set up their booth like they've done it.
What kind of month, what time frame was she thinking of this?
Spring, late spring. I know Christine wants to say something too.
Christine, yeah.
So basically, is this something that, I believe it's Joey, and there's somebody else that takes over that craft thing. Is this something that they should be, involved in? And, I know, Bobby and Joan, they're my friends, they're artists, but I'm feeling like this might not be a good fit for us. maybe it's something that the athletic, because they do the jury thing, they can check all these people, what they have, if it's going to, complement their craft show thing, because there's a whole bunch of stuff, right?
That's actually, I think, ties back to what you had said earlier, Anne, which is if what they're looking to us for is promotion. But I don't see us as being involved in the setup or making any kind of decisions. So I think the question is whether, and another, well, I'm looking at problems with it, I guess. I'm not being very positive here, but we can market it to people in Shutesbury, but I would guess, and here, BZ, I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head, but I would guess for it to really be worthwhile for artists, they would likely want the advertisement to go beyond Shutesbury, so that this would be more of a destination, and we can't do that. We're not going to do that. Yeah,
Well,
Elaine?
and
I also was involved with the Big Brothers Big Sisters craft fairs for many years, both the indoor winter one at the high school in Northampton and the outdoor one on the Amherst Common. And trust me, it is an incredible amount of work for an incredible number of people to help the artists set things up, monitor what's going on, take them down, and get the place back in order. And we stopped that like just before COVID, actually, because artists were just not, they weren't benefiting from it. It was really hard for them to justify it. And it was a lot of work for the artists too. And if we're talking about one day, that's a huge amount of work. I don't know that she's done that for a one-day thing. I know I'm throwing cold water on it as fast as I can, but I just remember we would be out there at 6 a.m. To set up, and we'd be taking down at 9 o'clock at night. And
no, Elaine, I raised this with Joan because I said, like, wouldn't you need, help for people to, and she said, no, artists do it all their own. So she has,
no, they don't.
she has a very austere vision of like, you get in there, no one's going to help you. So I wonder if the next step is for me to say, this is what the recreation committee could do. If you organized this, we could advertise it within Shutesbury. But people did have a number of questions that you might want to think about. Now, I know she told me when she talked to Marianne was interested in co-sponsor, I think. Don't put this in the record, Christine. I think Marianne said that it might be something the library might be interested in. But I just think she's imagining a very professional artist class where people, like my brother's an artist and like he used to travel around the country and do this, but I know from him it's a ton of work, but I don't know that you can have that expectation for artists in Shutesbury. And I don't think, personally speaking, I think it would be weird to sponsor an event and then just like be like, sorry, we don't help,
Right.
So
what was wrong with the art tour, the open studio?
Well, BZ, you were saying it just didn't get a lot of traffic, right?
Well, it was during COVID, and I think there was, Barbara, you went to it, I went to it, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. I think you could do that again and make that advertise that. To me, I would rather do that than do a craft fair. Is just, as Elaine said, it is so much work. There was a committee for Big Brothers Big Sisters. How many people were on that committee? 25 people.
At least.
At least. It's a huge, I don't think she's underestimating how much it would take. And also, I think, trying to get it to be profitable for the artists, you got to have a lot of people come through. Like if you have it on the Amherst Common, you're going to get people will come through but to have it at the athletic club, you're just not going to get the traffic that you need to make it worthwhile for people to do it.
When people go studio to studio, you don't have to do any setup. All you have to do is
Right.
really kind of clean up your
Clean up,
studio
Right.
and put things out, and people get a sense for what your work is. They might see something else that you're working on that, you know,
Yeah.
it's like when Leverett Leverett Arts Center has their open house, you go studio to studio
Right.
and
Yeah.
see what people are working on. And that's so much easier than having them move things all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one
I
this
think it's also
weekend.
people like to do that. It's like,
Yeah, there's one
people
this
like to see
weekend up
behind the scenes.
in
Right.
Chesterfield, and they get hundreds or maybe thousands of people go, but it's sort of built up over time. So
Yeah.
if the first one isn't that successful, I wouldn't like write it off. I think,
Yeah.
Especially during COVID.
yeah, exactly. So I think we should revisit. I would rather put energy into that than to
Okay.
trying to have a juried. Plus, the juried part is really tricky too.
I absolutely agree.
So,
Absolutely.
most juried shows, you don't have anybody local. You have to pay
Right.
somebody to come be the juror,
Exactly.
and that's,
I know.
you know,
It
and
doesn't seem to fit with our community focus.
no, I think having we could combine it with a walk, walk.
Okay, so in the interest of time,
Yeah.
I'll go back to Joan and I'll say we
Oh.
like
Well,
we have,
I-
the committee discussed it. We have some concerns about the actual organization that's involved. The
And we're
committee
not
would be interested in talking about a studio tour,
Right.
but right now
I just
we're
ask
not
given
able to
with
support.
a consideration in anything that we do is, are there people who are actually going to work on it?
Right,
Mhm.
So for example, I am not going to work on a studio tour. I
right,
don't know anything about it. I don't know the people. I'm not going to do it.
right.
So unless there are people who right now are going to say,
Right.
I'm going to do this, then I
Right.
think we're not even saying the studio
Right.
tour. What
Well, I
I'm
think-
hearing from, yeah, go ahead, BC.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think you're putting the cart before the horse. Let's find out if that is something that people want to actually do before.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna help with it if nobody signs up to do, wants to do it.
Mhm.
So I think,
But if somebody wants to do it, I would help with the studio tour.
yeah,
Mhm.
I would help with that too, but I'm saying I want to make sure that there are enough people to make it a decent
Okay.
tour before you start advertising it, or,
Exactly.
yeah, don't.
What I would suggest going back to her with is, she actually didn't really ask us to sponsor it. If she wants to put it together, that she can go ahead and try to put it together. And if she puts it together and she'd like us to advertise it, I'd be happy to send out a town-wide email.
Right, that's
But
fine.
but it
We're
doesn't
not-
sound to me, unless I'm missing something here, no one here is really enthusiastic about helping with this, which
No.
isn't what she's asking anyway. And I'm not sure if it doesn't require any money, then we're not sponsoring it. We're not
Wait, so-
working on it. We're not organizing it.
We don't
willing
think
to-
it's a really good idea.
We didn't
Well,
even
I think
say that.
what I can say is that people on the committee weren't convinced that it wasn't going to be a lot of work, or it just didn't fit with our vision of being a community-minded
Right.
committee. But Barbara, can you so if somebody puts together this idea on their own, they could come to anybody could come to the recreation committee and say, will you advertise this?
Yeah, I would think so. And I wouldn't even say that it doesn't fit with our mission. Somebody might be knocking on my door right now with something that fits our mission. It doesn't mean we have to do it.
Okay,
We're 6 people.
it's just not, nobody's, okay.
We can't do everything that could potentially be done. And this particular one, there's no, I mean, if she wants to put it together and completely
Okay.
organize it, which is what she said she wants to do,
Yep,
and then she wants to come to us and ask if we would be willing to put out an something in the, an all-town news, email.
Sure.
I don't
Yeah.
see the harm in that,
Yeah.
but
but
beyond
it's
that,
only within the town.
yeah, we can't,
Yep.
we're not gonna help with, that's really beyond us. We don't do that.
Great.
They would have to think about their own advertising.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
that would be a big thing. How do you
Yep.
get that out there? They'd
Agree.
have to get it in the newspapers. They'd have to get it, they really would have to make a major effort to be able to get that going.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, super helpful. Thank you, everyone.
oh,
Sure,
well,
I feel bad that we sort of, have squashed, or threw cold water on the idea, but I don't think it's viable for our.
You shouldn't feel bad, BZ. I think it's good brainstorming. I think why, get involved in something that just feels like it's really an uphill battle. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And also think about, I mean, the other thing is that she wasn't asking us to do anything.
right.
Yeah, but
So
she
we're
would
not throwing cold water on anything.
okay.
Right. But, and I can come back and say the studio tour is another issue. If you want to discuss that, we might be interested in discussing that.
I thought the studio tour was great.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it
Are
was
you-
limited because of the time that it happened, but
Mhm.
it could be
Okay.
expanded and be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is pre-K and kindergarten soccer. And this was just Sam Spiciak, who did say she'd like to be on the committee once the Road Town race is done. So Andy is not interested, it turns out, but we got one of the two of them. So that's good. But she has young children, and the young children take part in the Amherst youth soccer program. And when she took her kids down there, she just kind of felt like it was very overwhelming for the little kids, for the 3 to 5 year olds. And so she was saying, do you think that something that would be of interest would be to offer those just very kind of early, here's what soccer is. I mean, at that age, the kids don't even know which goal to kick it into, just the rudimentaries, having fun, kicking the ball around. So I said I would bring it to the committee. She and Andy are all keen on running it. They're keen on serving coffee because that seems to be what he does. And so as I was thinking about it before bringing it here, I just thought of 3 issues that I think would have to be considered before we move forward. The first one is just purely logistical. I don't know what kind of insurance we would need.
Yeah.
I don't know what other kinds of things like that. I don't know what goes into it because I've never done it. The second would be what I called inter-organizational. So Amherst Youth Soccer has been doing this for a long time for all of the towns. Does this create any kind of problem to have a town take on that 3 to 5 year old group as a separate, just doing it separately? I would think that it would be important to talk to somebody in Amherst Youth Soccer to avoid any potential hard feelings that might arise from that. And third, if the rec committee does say yes, we would have to recruit coaches. In the short term, we're fine. Sam and Andy are very keen to do this. So, their kids are in the school, they can help get this organized, but then their kids will grow. And do we want to be in the business of identifying and finding coaches? It's in the short term, having Sam and Andy run these sounds like a great idea, but what are we signing on to? Are we signing on to just do it until their kids age out? Or are we signing on to do this? And many recreation committees do the youth soccer for their towns. So that's not that unusual. So those were just 3 issues. None of them are like, oh, we definitely shouldn't even think about it, but just those were things that it struck me would be issues that we would have to think about before we could make a decision about it.
So I think how many of us have had kids that have done youth soccer? I know that the 3 to 5 year olds, they don't care where they're doing it. They're running around with a soccer ball and having a good old time. And it's good for them to have the community in our town. I really support this. I also think that you can find it's not hard to find adults to do this for their community because it's an easy, positive thing. You don't really have to know rules. You just have to have patience, and you can actually have high school kids who would use this as their community service
Mhm.
program. If they're going off to college or something, they'd want to have something as community service. So an hour or two on the weekend of monitoring 3 to 5-year-olds. And they could get a CPR training course and first aid training course that I'm sure Lenny, the fire department, would love to give to the group, because it would encourage people to get to know the fire department and maybe get them as volunteer fire department folks. And the whole thing, it could wrap up. I can see it being real community minded, and we would have to have a release form from the each parent about health issues, etc. But as long as they're doing it with the scope of the rec committee on a field in town, I'm pretty sure the town insurance policy covers
Oh,
it.
Great,
Can I be a devil's advocate?
please.
Well, when our kids were little, Elaine, we would just have remember we used to have Saturday or Sunday
Mhm.
morning soccer games behind the fire station.
Yep.
And people would just show up. It was just a pickup. All ages came, and there were little 3-year-olds there. There were 10-year-olds there. And
Mhm.
what about proposing that and not making it such a formal thing where they are part of a league or
Oh, yeah, no, nothing like that.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
think saying to them, this is a great idea, we support it, but you don't have to make it into a bit. I mean, it seems like they're making it into a more formal thing than it has to be. That, like, just
Yeah,
say,
you don't need to teach kids 3 to 5-year-olds how to kick a ball around a field.
no,
Who
no.
cares if they get it
Just
in a goal or
meet
something?
every Sunday at 10 o'clock at the school and go kick the ball around, and
Maybe even
Christine, you
behind the
had
fire
your-
station would be, well, no, the school would be easier because
they have
it's got
soccer
parking,
goals
and
and
they
they
have
have
parking.
yeah, they have parking. So
Christine, did
I
you
don't know.
want to?
I'm just
I'm agreeing with Beezy, partly because of something else I had thought of, which is I'm pretty sure if we do this in a formal way, all adults involved will have to be quarried.
that's
Oh,
true.
right.
And we will
Right.
be responsible, if we're the
Yeah.
sponsoring organization, we will be responsible for that.
Right.
So I think what Beezy is suggesting, we could circumvent those type of formalities. I guess we need to make really, really sure, and I don't know how to make sure.
Oh,
But-
that's not a problem. We could run it by town council.
Okay.
I mean, if a group of families want to get together on a Sunday morning and kick a ball around, you
Yeah.
don't need to have Corey forms, you don't need to have release forms, you don't need to have insurance involved. You're just getting together as a, community, and you just make it a regular thing that every Sunday at 10 o'clock or every Sunday at 2 o'clock or whatever you decide to do. And we could help them advertise it, but I don't think we should sponsor it or in any way be involved in it more than just saying, yes, go for it. But
We
what are
could
they-
sponsor it in the way that, like you're saying, that we would say that this is something that we're helping to offer to families. But I think that that we should ask Donna if, how far can we go without having to, go with a Cory check, and can we always be doing it on town property and know that, I mean, kids go there all the time anyway on the weekend. So, where's the line if a kid breaks his leg, what happens?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that the whole formality of it doesn't need to be there, that we don't have to, for the 3 to 5-year-olds. I mean, like you say, they don't even, they just want to go run around and be with their friends, and, and the parents want to be there drinking coffee and, schmoozing. And it's really not about, building soccer skills or,
No,
it's
Right.
it's family time, which I totally think is good for our committee to be supporting, but I don't think we should go to the extent of saying that we're sponsoring it. That
So
would
we'd be facilitating communication about it.
exactly. Yeah, so Elaine, if you check with the town council and see if she thinks that that's an okay thing, just if we were supporting it by helping to advertise it, but not be involved in organizing it, or,
Great.
Okay.
Good, because
I can do that.
Sam and Andy are such wonderful resources,
They are.
they
Mhm.
really are, and so was really delighted when they said that they were interested in doing this, and when she specifically said she was interested in being on the committee.
Good.
Yeah.
I
Great.
tried to get him to be on the committee.
I know.
I worked him, but he was almost gonna do it because his father is a pickleball player and wanted to get a pickleball court here, so his dad would come more and take care of the kids, and but at least one, I agree, just getting one of them is good.
He's on the fire department, isn't he?
Yes.
think he is,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, he is.
So come on. That they need him more.
Doing his part, he's doing his part.
Absolutely.
So the
Yeah.
last agenda item is pickleball. And the question is, and I haven't heard anything from anybody about outdoor pickleball. The indoor pickleball is just going to continue the way it was, but there was some discussion, which you may recall, keeping a very close eye on the time, not to worry. But the question from last time was about building an outdoor pickleball court. And so the question that I have for the committee, and we may not be able to completely address this today, is does the committee want to support efforts to apply for a grant from CPC to build an outdoor pickleball court? And if so, what level of support are committee members willing to give?
No.
Yeah, I'm a no too, actually. I don't have any desire to do it.
I'm
Is
a no.
anyone dying to do it? No.
Christine, you're just sitting there.
Okay.
I support others doing it.
I support you doing it.
You know, when I went to the school to get permission for our forum tonight, I hope you guys will all come to the forum. I'm pitching it, by the way. Remember the library forum tonight. The
Can we
principal.
get that online?
What? Yes, you
Mhm.
can get it online.
Okay.
Principal asked me, so when is pickleball starting up again? I said, nope, not me, not me. Don't talk to me.
Yep. Aren't you glad I kept it completely separate? Happy to advertise. I mean, I think this is kind of something that is sort of rising. We did promote it.
Yeah,
And when I saw Brian, that wasn't too long, I said, we're happy to promote the indoor pickleball again. Just let us know. We'll send that out to everybody. Another possible activity that we could be sponsoring would be there's some really good pickleball players, and just sponsor a come learn how to play pickleball night, but stay away from being attached to the pickleball. So, okay. Then I think then we're all set, and let's see. So it's 2 of 5. And does anyone have anything else that needs to be said about anything? Okay. Is there a move to adjourn?
so moved.
And a second? Okay, and all those in favor? And that is unanimous.
Is the next meeting the 24th or the 31st?
It's the 24th. I think we decided to go